Alright guys, welcome back. We got the bike all tore down. This is what we're left with. We got the frame. All I've got left is the peg mounts. We gotta pull out the stem bearings. We have completed Kyle's teardown. Here's all the parts that we're left with. Little box parts there. His frame, his swing arm. In another video, we're going to break all that stuff down. Now we're going to get started on Caleb's bike. Kyle had asked if we could do the swing arm, the triple clamps, the calipers, the reservoirs, and the side engine covers. So with that being said, let's get started. There are a few parts left on it we're going to leave till last. I'm going to get everything else done first and put it back together, or mostly back together. Now we can worry about the small covers.
Let's break these parts down and pull some bearings out.
Okay, well, I was talking to myself for the last 15 minutes and didn't realize that I had it on time warp. Sometimes these seals can be quite the challenge to get out, like this one. The idea is we're trying not to spend a bunch of money on new parts. That is in there, so we might have to jeopardize that seal. Usually once you get them started, they pop out pretty easy, but for whatever reason this one side's being pretty stubborn. And the last one. And we're going to find the size that we need. Which, if I had to guess, it's got to be this one. And let's see how close we are. So it's got a little slack, but these jaws open up. Now we're going to need wrenches to tighten that all up. So 19 fits there, and might have to use a crescent wrench on the other one. Yeah, and here's our crescent wrench. Hopefully this opens enough. I'm gonna have to find something else. So for now, I guess I'm gonna use channel locks because I don't know where my other crescent wrench is. Somewhere there. Oops. Now I always leave the inside ones for last, solely because I can put it on my bench like this with a 19mm socket and an extension, and I can hammer these out. Last thing, we'll take out the slide adjusters. Alright, so we have the GasGas lower triple clamp set up on the press. It's squared up on our press. We have a collar so the stem can drop through, releasing the bearing. And I have taken a 32 mil, I left the nut on and I put a 32 mil over top to cover it and protect it as well. It's not putting any pressure, it shouldn't be putting any pressure on any of this. Everything is flush, so it presses all together. And as always with the press, put safety wear or eyeglasses on. That's all there is to it. So our stem has now pressed out. We gave room for the collar on the bottom. And now you can nicely take off your triple clamp bearings and your lower seal without having to replace them. I used to cut them off. This I think is just a little easier now. So with this one, with the Kx450, I had to use 2 additional pieces of square tubing to build it up. Just the way that they have the bolt holes in the bottom, they're kind of dimpled out as well. Keep it square. Another 32 mil socket to cover over top just to protect that stem, and this should be pretty straightforward. Just press it out. Alright, so with this, I had taken a few photos on where the bolts go back in. Got myself a Ziploc bag, just keep everything all neat and tidy. We'll label it as swing arm or subframe. So I know the ground wire has to go back here. I'm just going to put a little dab of yellow just to kind of remind myself. That piece is ready for some degreasing, and then we can get the sandblasting. We got to remove these bearings, all the seals. These are a needle style bearing. Nope, I lied. These are a cage style bearing. I'm gonna kind of take pieces off as we go. That one's cracked loose. I'm just going to assume that Kyle wants his powder coated.
You can bet your ass Kyle Exotic wants that done. Wait until you see the colors he picked out in the next video.
What the heck do we got going on? It is directional. That's a machined lip.
After fighting with these bearings for over an hour, I got a second opinion. Kyle and I both agreed it looked like a machined surface on the back side of the bearings and didn't want to risk wrecking anything. Guess what? We were both wrong. After using a torch and beating them to death, they finally came out. Now onto the wheels.
Alright, first things first, we're going to take the air out of the tube. Okay, loosen off the rim lock. All of our air is out of the tube. We can leave the lock nut on. Make sure your rim lock moves freely, as well as the valve stem, which it does. Now we can go down and we can break the bead. Start away from your bead lock. The reason I like to do it this way is so that the rim drops into the tire, but you can just pull that tire off. Just like such. We got our Allen keys for our rotor cracked loose. Now I'm just going to use the impact. With a little red Loctite, they're pretty tight. Figure out what size we need. 6.2 works. We got our 6.2 mil spoke wrench from Tusk from Rocky Mountain, and now we'll go around and we'll start loosening these off. Okay, we've got the ring off, as well as the hub and all the spokes. Now I'm not sure about this bike. I know on some Hondas, maybe even all the Hondas, that two spokes are two different lengths, so we're gonna double check. Now it looks like on this one, I just put them on the bench, tap them down, they're both the same length. We have to apply a little bit of heat. I've got a torch head hooked up to my propane tank, and hopefully it's enough to heat up the bearing surface enough that I could get it out. Okay, let's give it a try. And just like that, life is easy. I hope that was enough. I guess we're gonna find out. Just like that. This hub is pretty warm, and now that is ready for sandblasting. Okay, hopefully I'm in focus. I don't know. Okay. I am now shooting with a Sony ZV-E10. This is kind of a test just on this rear tire. Hopefully we don't lose any footage. We're gonna get this prepped and ready. I start sandblasting all this stuff tomorrow. And let's just see how everything makes out. This is with the factory mic. We do have a Rode mic, but it is not plugged in. I just want to see how this one works. And let's get started. Alright, after exchanging a few choice words, we were successfully able to separate the rim from the tire, or the tire from the rim. And yeah, now let's start taking everything else off. Oh baby. Man, oh man. Holy! Oh, over here, Billy. It is off. Okay, now we're going to tackle the rotor side and get that removed. That's painful. Oh, I hate duct tape. Wow. Come on. I am more than likely going to have to torch these. The front ones were nothing but a pain. We have to replace the nipples. Most of them had crashed. So I'm going to torch these just to be safe. I think we are replacing the rear nipples anyways. The spokes are still in good shape. It was the nipples that took a beating. So I'm going to guess the 6.7 for the rear and 6.2 mil for the front. We'll leave them set up on this. I just want to see how tight one of these are. Oh, these are way looser than the front. Oh, I might have lied. I don't know what I did with the spoke wrench. I probably carried it over there. Nope. I've got it in my pocket. Surprise, surprise. Alright. We're going to work our way around the rim, taking off all these spokes. And there you have it. You are now left with just the ring. When it comes to the spokes, take two that are in the same block. Check that they are the same size. If they're not, they have to be separated. And these are, hopefully you guys can see that. Let me get it nice and close. Those are two different heights. So we have to make sure that we keep these separated. So all the bottoms. Okay. The bottoms are the long, and the tops are the short. We're going to label these 9 from the rotor side. These are the short ones. So I'm just going to wrap them up with some painter's tape. Kind of make a longer tag. And fold it back in half so that I've got a spot that I can write on. short rotor side. Done. And this I will write as the sprocket side. Okay, now we're going to work at taking the seals from both sides and the bearings out, as well as the center shaft. If this is anything like the front, it's going to need heat again to take the bearings out. On the rotor side, I don't know if it's going to focus, but inside of here there is a lock ring, so you'll need snap ring pliers. I've got myself a set of Mastercraft snap ring pliers. They're cheap at my local Canadian Tire. Here. Sometimes they can be a pain and they will take off on you. So we have one side, I don't know if that's going to focus. We have one side that's out and kind of up, so I can take a flathead screwdriver and pry it the rest of the way up. And just like that, it popped out. Alright, so it had happened off camera. I had heated up the other side and got the bearing out. Now we're left with the double bearing, which is great because I can actually hammer it in from the other side, and it's just going to make life a little easier. Okay, with any luck, I have a socket, an extension, a ball peen hammer. Just going to put it in the center of the race, or the center of the bearing. I don't know, hopefully it doesn't vibrate the camera too much. And that's it. All the bearings have been removed. Alright guys, let's get everything loaded. And the last piece is, the rest of it's in the truck box. This is going to rattle like crazy all the way to the city.